Welcome to Two Deep Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast. I'm host for the night, Sam Jesse. I am not PP, but he is in the room with us. We're talking some Hokie hoops, so we had to have our Hokie hoops aficionado. Ed Williams is also on the chat with us. Fellas, how are we doing? It was a tough game last night.
It was a tough game. A little crossover episode to stay on the basketball theme here with Hokie hoops. Yeah, last night was tough. I was feeling like absolute garbage after that game, as I have many times. Ed, how are you feeling?
Just numb, battered and bruised. At least last night you could kind of see it coming, but either way, it's been a season of those games, and I'm kind of tired of it. But at the same time, keep riding the emotional roller coaster until it stops.
Yeah, tonight we're going to talk about what happened in Coral Gables last night as the Hokies lost another heartbreaker by one possession to a very good ACC team. We're going to talk a little bit about the disaster of a second half against Florida State that happened in Castle Coliseum, go over some numbers, go over some metrics, see what's left for the rest of the season because, look, there's still a chance, fellas. I don't want to be, I don't want to lie on the mic, but there is a chance out there. And then we're also going to talk, maybe most of the time, kind of about what the future of this program is like. Feels like we're at a crossroads. Feels like we are at a time where some tough decisions have to be made. And let's start out with that game in Coral Gables where the Hokies lost a 1-point game to Miami. And wait, I think I screwed up, Pete. Did I screw up? Do I need to do a cheers?
Yeah, you need to ask me for a cheers.
Pete, what's your cheers?
Okay, I've got a twofold cheers. I've been waiting all day because I never get to do the cheers. It's Giving Day for Hokie Club and just across all of the athletics at Virginia Tech. So if you haven't given already, I think you got like 17 hours left to give. Second cheers is to Pat Finn, who got engaged. So now we've got three members of the Sons of Saturday engaged right now. Billy, Pat, and Sam Jesse over here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Full disclosure and a little bit of, behind the curtain. This is our second take at the intro. We had some Wi-Fi issues, but it's going well so far. Let's talk about that game in Coral Gables, right?
Okay.
The Hokies fought tooth and claw for 40 minutes playing a team that, I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of Miami throughout this season. I've seen them a couple times. They're big, they're fast, they're talented, and the Hokies hung with them and just, didn't get the last bucket to go in. Ed, overall thoughts about that game in Miami?
Yeah, like I said at the top, you kind of saw it coming in the second half. It just felt very familiar. But Virginia Tech played a really good basketball game from start to finish, I thought, against a team that, on paper has more talent than them. I thought Virginia Tech played a really, really good game, start to finish, kind of just across all categories. I mean, 20 assists on 28 made field goals is a fantastic offensive basketball game. I thought defensively we did a really good job. Now, everyone will point to Trey Donaldson's stat line and tell me I'm crazy when I say that, but that was the first time all season Malik Reneau did not score over 10 points, and that's their best player. If you told me that Malik Reneau was going to score 9 points and they were only going to score 67 as a team, I would say we won the basketball game. So I thought Virginia Tech played a very complete game, and unfortunately for the third time this year, Virginia Tech was the better team, and the other team had the best player on the floor, and that was the difference.
It was a really entertaining game, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a incredible basketball game if you were not a Virginia Tech or Miami fan, I'll tell you that. And look, the Hokies, they led for 57% of that game, virtually equal on turnovers and rebounds. Neither team got out to a very large lead at any point in that game. The Hokies shot better from three. They shot better from the field. And again, it's like you said, and it feels like in clutch time, the other team just tends to make those shots. And it sometimes comes down to one or two shots. And in this game, Miami had the dude that was red hot in the second half, and Virginia Tech was kind of doing this by committee thing, and it didn't work out. If you look at the stats here, we have them up. You can watch on the YouTube, Sun Saturday YouTube. Come see our beautiful faces and also some of the graphics we're going to have up here. man, I got to tell you, like, Tech looked good.
Yeah, I thought Virginia Tech played a really good game. Like I said, particularly defensively, I thought we did a good job. But some nights there's just guys who are going to do what Trey Donaldson did, and there's a reason Miami decided to go out and acquire his services from Michigan, and he transfers down to Coral Gables, where he's coming in there as a lead guard who's already played a ton of college basketball at Michigan in the Big Ten, and he put on a show. And Virginia Tech didn't really have an answer. They started out with Hammond on him. That didn't work at all. They quickly switched to Bedford on him, who did a little bit of a better job, made Trey Donaldson make some really hard shots, but unfortunately he did. I mean, he threw a couple in that we played good defense on, and he still made it. Unfortunately, they were not able to get the ball out of his hands often enough, and he basically beat him by himself in the second half, but particularly in the clutch time. And I think that's been a problem all year. It's cost us against Miami, Stanford, and SMU with Boopie Miller and Okori at Stanford. One guy just kind of taking over and winning them a basketball game. And Virginia Tech, on the flip side of that coin, has not had that guy in clutch time who you feel like I can give the ball to, get out of the way, and he'll get a decent look and have it go through the rim. So it's been a theme, and it's an unfortunate one, but it's just not one that our roster right now has an answer for. I mean, we thought coming into the year, Neo Abdallas would be maybe that guy, that alpha late in games. That hasn't proven to be true. So it's by committee, like you said, Sam. And some nights the other team just has a player who's better than everybody else on the floor. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, Pete, when you watch that game, like what stood out to you about the difference? Because obviously Miami had the best player on the court, right? I mean, Trey Donaldson looked like an NBA player on the court. But other than him going nuclear, what did it look like? Because Miami only scored 67 points. That's not a lot in a basketball game. Like defensively, I thought Tech played hard, played well.
We've had so many different things come up throughout the season, whether it's coming out flat or hitting these dry stretches. But in this game, other than the beginning where we got down by like 7 or 8 points, we really went punch for punch with them. They would do something and we'd come right back with a response. And we played with more effort and focus than I feel like I've seen all season in last night's game. I've talked many times about the lack of identity on this team. And last night, I think was the first time I really thought, okay, this is Mike Young basketball. Like they're moving the ball. Ed talked about the 20 assists, and Neo was tearing them up early in the game with his passing. He didn't have a great night overall with the points and ever no point to the point total. He had 8 assists and he was really having a big impact on the game early. We can come back to him in a minute, but that was, to me, it was just about playing smart. Like we haven't played a lot of smart basketball this year, and we were doing that in this game and playing with a ton of effort. So I've said in the past, like this team just needs to play harder. They were for a good portion of this game. And when it came down to it, Ed nailed it. Like we can't make the plays at the end. And one guy or one series of plays decides the game. And Donaldson went nuts. He scored the last 15 points of the game. We didn't have an answer. We even changed the lineup. And I said this to you guys when we were watching. That lineup adjustment for the final 2 minutes or so, where we went Hammond, Bedford, Shoot, Lawal, and Hansberry. We took Neo off the floor, took Gerdak off the floor. I really liked it. Like I thought that was the right lineup to be running out there defensively. And he hits the 3, which tied the game. And I do want to ask Ed about like the end when it's 66-66. They're coming down, clock's winding. Toby steps out and just bodies right into him. And it's his 5th foul of the game. So if we went into overtime, we wouldn't have had him. And it was a 1-and-1 opportunity. And that was the 1 point that won the game. I get it. He's making threes. So like maybe putting him on the line's better than shooting a 3 and hitting it. But like, it seemed like an odd time to just jump out and jump right into him.
There's no justification for that. That was just dumb. Like you're probably trying to force him to give it up. So you're just flying out and hedging hard on that screen to try to get him to pass the ball. He was never passing that ball. He just ran right into him, and Lawal's out of the game. I thought Toby struggled throughout the night. I mean, he finished with 8 points, but that's misleading. He had 2 buckets late in the game that, Bedford could have scored it, and he just handed it to Toby and he scored. So I thought Toby had a really tough game. in massive foul trouble all night. And he did have a tough matchup. He was guarding Reno at times, and he was guarding Shelton Henderson at times. So those are two tough matchups. You'd expect him to have some level of foul trouble, but as far as that specific play, I mean, you can't do that. You can't foul a guy, 40 feet from the basket and allow him to just shoot free throws. Whereas you could have, who knows what happens if he puts up a shot. He might make a three and you might be cooked anyway, but allowing it to be settled at the line like that was pretty inexcusable.
And he did miss the one. So then it was like, okay, this is all right. But one of the things that I felt like in the breakdown of the game is we didn't get to the line, which created the issue at the end of the game, Sam.
Yeah. I mean, only 3 free throw attempts for the whole game. And this is a Virginia Tech team that's gotten to the line a lot this year and been pretty good at the line. So, like, when you're not a great shooting team, like from the 3-point arc, you have to make it up in different ways. And I thought Tech did a good job of like trying to get out and run a little bit. We saw some fast break points, particularly in the second half. I thought they did a good job of like playing a little bit of two-man game in the paint to try to get some easier buckets. Like when you're not getting to the free throw line along with that, that's how you end up only scoring 66 points. And this is a Tech team who on the year right now, they're averaging just under 79 points a game. So to score 66 is pretty much below. The last 3 games are only averaging 70. So we've seen the offense like kind of slow down quite a bit, and that puts a ton of pressure on your defense. And this is a much improved defensive team, but I don't think we would say this is a great defensive team. Like we're not going to win it like the vintage UVA and Wisconsin teams would win basketball games. It's just not our style. I just feel like not getting to the line might have been the difference in that game. It was a interestingly officiated game. I don't think it was poorly officiated by college basketball standards, but
no,
there were definitely some plays where I thought Virginia Tech should have gotten to the line.
They were mauling
that were
Hammond at times, and like they weren't calling it. And what killed us about the foul thing, and what I was referring to, is when they had fouls to give at the end of the game.
Yes, they did.
And so we're trying to get it down there, and they're fouling us, taking 3 seconds off the clock foul, and that sucked. And I want to ask you about the last play, because getting it to Ben Hammond, you talked about having a guy to go get a bucket, and Hammond has, if anybody on the team is that guy, it's been him. And we got it to him. It was a little far from the cup for my liking with only 3.8 left. And he kind of was slipping the whole way, but again, contact, all kinds of different things, and it doesn't go in.
Yeah, I had no problem with the final play call. You don't have a Trey Donaldson or a Corey or a Boopie Miller. So if I asked, fans, what is our best one-on-one opportunity to get a bucket with 3.8 seconds left in the game, in my head, it would be Ben Hammond doing what he did, just blowing by somebody, using his speed, or get the ball to Jalen Bedford and let him shoot a step back 3 going to his left, because he's got to be like 65% taking that shot this year. But if that was the play they drew up, the fan base would be crucifying Coach Young. If Jalen Bedford took a step back 3 as the final play of this game, the fan base would be crucifying this coaching staff. So as far as the play itself,
crucifying him anyway. I mean, it might have gone in, but Bedford missed the shot at the end of the game. That was with 40 seconds left. I think, was it tied at that point? I can't remember.
It was a good.
It was
look.
66-66. Yeah.
One of those looks we've missed all year.
You know what it reminded me of?
Bedford had his shot at it, and he shot.
If we're already hurt, it reminded me a lot of the Ahmed Hill in the corner versus Duke in the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
where it's like the exact look you want and it bricks.
Yeah.
It's just like, my issue, like I tweeted out, like after watching the replay like twice, I was like, man, you have no on-ball screen. You have like no movement. You just have Ben Hammond head down, driving to the hoop from 40 feet away. It does look like Hansberry was expecting to be able to set a screen, and they were not positioned correctly, and Hammond just like caught the ball and went, and he didn't look up. That's why he slipped, is he just was out of control from the get-go.
I think you're right on the screen point, but I think watching it back a few times today, it seemed to me like Ben went early before the ball came into inbounds, where he's coming off that screen. He's coming off. I think the screen was supposed to be before the ball's inbound. So like I think he was supposed to be curling off the screen, catching it, and then going downhill. At that point, you're going downhill at one guy with Jaden shooting the corner. I think the problem was Amani whiffed on Trey Donaldson on that screen because I think Ben went a little early. And so Amani turns to set the screen. Well, he's already by him. Donaldson just slipped it. So Ben's having to catch the ball going away from the hoop, which cost him probably at least half a second of time. The half a second allows you, when you do eventually get turned downhill, to either go score if you have it, but if that defender crashes, you have Jaden Shoot in the corner. And Jaden Shoot was wide open in the corner.
Jaden Shoot was set wide. Now, Shoot was open in the corner, probably would have gotten you a good shot off. Hammond was never passing that ball.
No. And I think he realized too, once he caught the ball and had to hesitate, he probably thought, I don't have time to make that pass. And he's probably right. There's like 1 second-ish left when that defender fully committed to Ben and Jaden is standing by himself. So it would have been really tough to get that ball over to him, get a shot off quickly. We probably would have made the shot after the buzzer, and that would have just been the most Virginia Tech thing of all time. So I think because he had to catch the ball going away from the rim to start the play, it just became Ben's like, I got to go. And at the end of the day, he got a halfway decent look at it anyway, hit the backboard, hit the rim, and went out. It's just an unfortunate play. I think if Amani gets a piece of Trey Donaldson, Hammond's got half a step earlier and can potentially make that pass to Jaden Shoot.
That's a very good analysis, and I do like how you're like. After watching it back several times today, I did not. It was
misexecuted on probably 3 different fronts, and that's the tough part about basketball, and like especially college basketball, is like the game happens very fast and it's very intense. And if in a situation like that, like if one little thing goes wrong, you don't really have a shot at getting off a good shot. Like Hammond barely got a shot off at all.
I just feel like Hammond, he felt so rushed. Like, I don't think and that's, a younger player kind of thing, but like there was time, like 3.8, I think that's what it was. Like, that's a decent amount of time to like get the ball down and get it to the rim, but it didn't go in. What can you do? In the game, we shot 50% in each half, and we hit 40% from 3. And we held them, like Ed said, to 67 points. Like, everything on this paper screams like Virginia Tech probably won this game. And unfortunately, we didn't, because
Miami shot 10 more free throws. Like, that's tough to overcome. And one dude went
crazy. He scored 30. He was his career high. And like another guy getting his career high against Virginia Tech. Like, it just always happens.
Yeah.
Last possession. I want to ask about Neo, but go ahead.
Oh, good. Pete, great minds think alike. This is why we do a podcast together. So on that last possession, and we'll talk about the full game, like, Neo is not a great scorer. Like, he's not going to give you 25 a night. Like, it's just not his game. However, I think the one thing offensively he is very good at is being like 6'8", 6'9", and has that turnaround jumper and has the ability to get to the hoop and get fouled or get a good shot off. How do we like him inbounding the ball there and then basically not being part of that play at all when he's your best passer? And like, if I needed somebody to like just hit a ridiculous turnaround or a like mid-range jumper, I'd probably still go Neo if anybody on this team in that situation. I don't love him not being part of the play at all.
Everything he does takes a long time to develop, and you didn't have a long time right there. Like, you're going to put him in, and the only thing you could do with him in that position is dump it to him on like, in the mid-range area and just tell him to hit a turnaround. I liked what they did better. I think if Amani gets even a piece of Trey Donaldson, Ben's got enough time to either go score it himself or hit Jaden Shoot in the corner, which we all would take that shot, 10 times out of 10, right? So I liked what they did better. Plus, Neo hadn't been in for like 5 minutes. So he only came in the game was because Toby Lawal was out. So
there you go.
Neo was pulled anyway. He took 3 shots all night. I just don't. And with everything going on with his headspace, I'm just not sure that that's what you want.
I thought he looked afraid to shoot the basketball most of the night.
He did not look like he wanted to shoot the basketball. But guys, 8 assists to 1 turnover is You can't ask for much better than that. And he probably should have had a couple more because there was one that was just a blown layup that would have given him 9 assists. And then there was, I think it was shoot in the opposite corner, had an open look that he normally hits that he didn't hit. So like we were really close to 10 assists, 5 boards from Neo. Now you didn't get it. It sucks how that game ended because of how predictable it was.
Yeah, I mean, Ed said it with like, I want to say 3 game minutes left. Like I'm preparing to be heartbroken. And it was
the whole chat was.
Any Hokie fan watching that game was like waiting for the shoe to drop. And if we won, it would have been a pleasant surprise. But we've seen it too many times this year, and we saw it again. On the Neo thing, yeah, the 8 assists is great. But the reason they took him out of the game was because he was being sloppy with the basketball and damn near turned it over in a critical spot. And then they got his ass out of the game and put in the lineup that I felt much more comfortable with. He is a liability late in these games because you need to play with confidence, and he's not playing with any confidence.
Well, they took him out because they did not want any world where he got switched on to, first of all, Donaldson, but then the other guard too. They put in, it was Bedford, Hammond, and Shoot, right? All 3 can guard a 1 at that point. So you feel much better about any potential screen and switch there. So you get Neo off the floor and you don't have to worry if Shoot gets switched on to Donaldson or that kind of thing. You feel fine about that. But yeah, I mean, I agree. He's kind of shown this year, final 2 minutes, final 3 minutes. It's not his thing, right?
Not Neo time.
Yeah, he played a great game. Yeah. He played a great game. I mean, there were a couple of times where he passed up shots I wish he would have taken. Regardless of result, it's just like, dude, take the shot. You're wide open. There was a 3 he passed up. Yeah, Ben Hammond is literally like, dude, shoot the ball.
Awkwardly passed it up. I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah, Ben Hammond looked at him immediately and was like, shoot, dude, shoot the ball.
It was like a somewhat in transition shot from the wing.
Like
it was weird.
Yeah. So he took 3 shots on the game, and the one he made was a dunk that was on a fast break. He had no interest in shooting, but damn if that passing is not special. Some NBA team is going to get a steal with him in the second round where you can't teach 6'9" with that vision. You just can't do it, but you can fix jump shots. So somebody's going to get a good steal with him.
You can fix jump shots, but it's more than the jump shot with him. He is not, like, his head is not screwed on right now. And 2 points when we lose by 1. No, you can't have it. You can't have that.
I somewhat jokingly in the chat did mention the time where Amani Hansberry had the entire lane to himself dribbling at the bucket and just dropped the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
With like 4 minutes left in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
That sucked.
Tie game, 5 minutes left.
That was the most Virginia Tech like moment of that game. It's like, you have got to be kidding me. Like it was, and the announcers kept saying his eyes were getting too big. And it's like, why does it have to be like this? Like, why
us? Why us?
What do you think Coach Young's saying to himself on the sideline?
Yeah.
My kind of last point about that, and it ties in with Neo, is like the late game stuff. I think it's way more mental than it is physical. Like the roster has some limitations. I would say it has more talent than it has limitations. It seems to be a pure mental thing for this team, though. Like all of the mistakes are mental mistakes at the end of the game. It's free throws. It's bad switches on defense. It's turnovers. It's like fouling a guy, hedging a screen 45 feet from the bucket when he's like dribbling towards the sideline.
Yeah.
It's like some teams go into games expecting no matter what they're going to win. And some teams go into those situations expecting no matter what we're going to lose. And unfortunately for this Tech team, like I just feel like their headspace right now is if it's a close game at that under 4 timeout, in the back of their head, they're doing exactly what we are doing watching the game going, in what painful manner will we lose this game?
They don't have a closer, and they haven't had a closer all year. And if you look at the lineup, I mean, Jalen Bedford has been a role player his whole career at lower levels of basketball. He's been fantastic for Virginia Tech this year. Don't get me wrong, but that's what he's been in terms of his experience he's had prior. Ben Hammond's a true sophomore. Jaden Shoot has not played a lot of basketball. Was he a redshirt sophomore? Neo Abdallas is a freshman. Toby the Wall has not played a lot of basketball, especially in those kind of minutes. The only guy who probably has is Amani Hansberry, who's as a junior. But in general, it's a relatively younger basketball team in terms of game experience. Like when there's 3.8 seconds left and you have Trey Donaldson or Boopie Miller, those guys have played so much basketball. 3.8 seconds to them feels like 10 seconds. 3.8 seconds to Ben Hammond feels like 1. And you saw how rushed he was in getting that shot off. Abuka Okori is a different situation because of just how much of a freak show he is as a true freshman. But when you have like a true closer, the game feels a lot slower. And for Virginia Tech, the game feels like it's going a million miles an hour in some of these late game situations. I actually felt like the Miami game was a lot more similar to SMU, where when you go back and look, we lost an absolute heartbreaker on the road in Q1 opportunity. And when you go look at the game script, when you read, the final 2 minutes, the play-by-play, Virginia Tech didn't really do anything wrong. The other team just took it from them.
Yeah,
in both cases, it was one player. Like this wasn't like some of the other games where we missed a million free throws or kicked the ball all over the place like we've done in prior games, which certainly has been a huge problem. Don't get me wrong. This was just one team made shots late and the other did not.
Yeah, but there are little things like the Amani and the Toby foul. But like I understand what you're saying, and I tend to agree that like it was more that Miami won than we lost. It's hard to stomach that though when we've seen it keep happening.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That makes it way worse.
Keep pointing to, and I wonder, Ed, like KG left and is the head coach at Wofford right now. That late game confidence, that mental hurdle that Sam's referring to, is missing the second in command, having an effect on that potentially. Like I love getting Chester Frazier back. We have who's JD Byers. I know at the end of the game, we saw Mike Young put his hands on those two guys and hey guys, what are we drawing up here? That's what it felt like. And that was KG before. And I do wonder, losing that mind and that right-hand man, has that had an impact on the way this team has developed throughout the season? Because I feel like it has.
It certainly could have. I mean, KG is a great coach. You see what he's doing in year one at Wofford when he took the job in September. It's pretty impressive. He'll probably win coach of the year in that league. I think it's more of a function of guys not having played significant minutes like these. It's just something that you can't teach. You can give them the best instructions in the world, and they'll still, throw an inbounds pass off of Monty Hansberry underneath the baseline. I don't even remember what game that was at this point. It's just burned into my brain. But last night, you'll still overhedge on a screen and you can give the best instructions in the world. But if the guys can't slow their hearts down just a little bit to think and play and not just play, it's something you learn with experience. And Virginia Tech just doesn't have a lot of that experience.
Well, they are certainly in a really tough spot right now when it comes to making the tournament, because not as much that Miami result, because Virginia Tech actually rose 2 spots in the net rankings with that net efficient.
We have to lead the country in quality losses, by the way. The amount of times we've lost games and the next morning I look at the net and we went up.
You know who's got a lot of good quality losses is Wake Forest, who happens to be our next opponent, but they've lost so many close games against elite teams. It reminds me a little bit of that. The margins for some of ours, though, and especially last night, you can't lose by any closer than that.
Well, I'll tell you a time Virginia Tech didn't lose a close game, and that was the weekend before when they hosted the Florida State Seminoles. Virginia Tech was up 42-39 at halftime. Both teams were shooting lights out. Tech was playing very good offensively. Florida State was hitting a ton of shots. This is a Florida State team that was second to last in the ACC in both field goal percentage and three-point percentage. But what happens? They put together one of the most impressive second halves of offense we've seen this season. They score 53 in Castle in the second half, outscore the Hokies 53-27 to win 92-69, giving the Hokies their worst loss of the season. Florida State is, I don't know what got in the water in Tallahassee, but they're playing much better basketball over the past few weeks. They shot 62% from the field, 52% from three. Only turned it over 5 times. They out-rebounded the Hokies. I mean, and it wasn't one guy. Like, they had 6 or 7 players who just went nuclear off the wall on Virginia Tech.
It was a second half from hell, is what it was.
That's
they shot the shit out of the ball. It was like 78% in the second half.
You normally don't see that in college basketball. You see it in the NBA sometimes when like they're all professional basketball players and everyone's just feeling good that night. It's really rare you see a performance like that in college basketball.
I don't have a whole lot to add. I didn't get to watch much of this game.
I mean, there was nothing they looked defeated once Florida State went on like a little run in the second half and it was clear that they couldn't miss. It was curtains.
Yeah, Florida State had 3 runs that were double digits. They had a 13-0, a 10-0, and an 11-0, all in the second half.
The only thing I will add is this feels similar to the last point we were making, talking about closing out games, having a guy who can go get you one and, when you need it the most. Well, when you need it the most is also when another team's going on a huge run or where you can't buy a bucket. Like these, 3.5, 4-minute stretches we've seen throughout the year where Virginia Tech struggles to score. We don't have a guy who can go stop that by himself. When the other team is going on a huge run, we don't have a guy who can calm it all down and go stop their run by himself by going to get a bucket to combat whatever it is they're doing. So things like this happen where it just snowballs out of control. Like I said, I didn't get to watch much of it. I was listening on the radio and could tell pretty quickly how it was heading in the second half. So I know, Pete, you were trying to watch it at a bar. I think they didn't have it either. So Sam, I think you were the only one who had the pleasure of watching this.
I'll be honest, I turned it off about 5 minutes in the second
I'm sure
half.
everybody did. I went back and watched like the condensed game, but yeah,
Tech was up with about 17 minutes left in the second half. Virginia Tech was up 49 to 44. They only scored 20 more points the rest of the game. It's one of the most shocking halves of basketball I think I've ever watched from Virginia Tech, and that is saying a whole lot. Like it was not good.
I told Billy after the game, he called me and was like, "That's so bad that we lost like that." I'm like, it's almost better that we lost like that, because if we were to have gone on and beat Miami and have high hopes for the NCAA tournament, if you lose like a 3-point game at home to Florida State, the committee's like, "Oh, you lost to Florida State." When you lose that bad, it's almost like a result that just gets thrown out of people's minds altogether.
It is an anomaly. We shot 36% in the second half. They had 3 players that were perfect from the field in the second half. It snowballed. I think that's what Ed said. And because you look at it and it's like losing by 23 to Florida State at home at this time, right after you upset Clemson, like that's inexcusable. And then you look at the box score, it's like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. Like, I really don't. Like, we should have played better and we could have been more focused and ready to go or whatever, but they were up at the half. So like they were ready to go and it just fell apart.
I think the last tweet I had from that game, like if you looked at my timeline, that's the prettiest offensive possession I've seen from the Hokies this year. And then the next tweet was like Florida State on a 41-18 run. Like it happened really fast. And I think our guys were like shocked.
Did you guys think that the tournament hopes were dead after Florida State? Like we were all on that page, knowing full well, like, oh yeah, we could beat Miami and maybe, but like that felt like that was it. Like that game.
Credit to the staff and the players for getting up off the mat and playing a really good game against a really good team on the road in Miami. I felt like that day, but then Sunday morning when I woke up and looked at all the analytics and things, and it didn't really kill anything. I was kind of surprised. It kind of felt like if we beat Miami, we would have been right back where we were pre-Florida State in terms of, right there, but still not quite in yet. And then, of course, the Miami result happens, and now we are where we are.
The bubble had a terrible weekend. That's why, Ed. Like we lost, but like that stopped me from kind of paying attention because I was so pissed. But like all the teams that we needed to lose kind of lost.
I put out that list of all the games. Like here's the games to watch. A good amount of them went Tech's way. Unfortunately, though, the most important ones are Virginia Tech actually winning the games, and they'll have an opportunity, right? So on the 21st, which is Saturday, they host Wake Forest. Obviously a must win, but I'm going to pull up here. I believe it's, nope, not that. that one right there. I'll pull it up. So this is the quad 1 and quad 2 results for Virginia Tech. It's a lot of L's. Let's be honest. There's a lot of red on that screen. But what sticks out to me, and Ed, you put this out here, is like Tech's played 11 quad 1 games. There are 2 quad 1 games left on the schedule at North Carolina and at Virginia. There is a chance they play a very high Q2 or a low Q1 in the tournament, in the ACC tournament. That would also be added to the resume. Like the sheer number of high quality opponents the Hokies have played this year is in their favor. And it's something that they have that the other teams on the bubble don't have.
Look at how many of those say away next to them.
It's crazy. It's absurd.
The amount of quality opponents we've played on the road in true road games is pretty insane. And actually, we're kind of getting shortchanged on one because Providence was a road game for all intents and purposes. It was like 3 miles from their campus. It's been unbelievable. The schedule makers in the ACC, Pete, you and Mike and I have talked about it. All the good teams we played, and especially in the back half of the ACC schedule, were all on the road. And when you look at that, 3-8 Q1 record, there's 4 games in there we lost by a combined 6 points.
Yeah. And being 7-9 against Q1 and Q2, if you go through a lot of the other bubble teams, that's more wins than almost everyone, and a pretty good percentage compared to a lot of them as well. Like the best bubble teams are still 500 in this category, and we're 1 game away from being 500 if Miami had gone differently.
Yeah, so, say we do beat Wake and Carolina, for example, we will have 9 Q1 and Q2 wins. With the
Wake
4
would be
we
Q2
dropped
at home.
Yeah, with the 4 we dropped, we would still have 9 wins in those 2 categories. That's a lot, guys. Like that's a lot when you look at the bubble, and just historically, that's a lot of quality wins if they're able to do something like that.
But we got to beat. So we have 4 games left, and we basically need to win 3 of them if we want to get in the tournament. That's kind of what we were talking about. You can't go 2-2 and get in. No. If you go 3-1, you would have a chance.
Yeah, and if you look at the ACC standings and how the bracket would work out, Virginia Tech would probably be against one of SMU, Florida State, Cal, Syracuse. Probably against one of those teams. Maybe Stanford. Like we'll see how the other games play out. But on a neutral court, 0-50 is a Q1 game. So SMU would be the only Q1 out of those. Everyone else would be Q2 on a neutral court. But we've already beaten Cal. You've already beaten Syracuse. You were a point away from winning at SMU. God forbid Florida State shoots 62% again, or else you're going to lose that game. But, is this a team that I think can make a run at the ACC title? Probably not, because Duke looks pretty unbeatable right now, and Louisville and NC State look pretty damn good as well. But, getting 2 wins in the ACC tournament is not out of the question. And that would be a Q2 and a Q1. It's not crazy.
And then you're a double digit. Then you're in the double digits for those 2 categories.
The issue is actually winning the games. And
it's the thing is
none of it matters if you don't win the games.
3-1 implies, if people aren't aware, that we beat one of Virginia or UNC on the road.
And UNC looked awful.
They're without their star player.
State, they got
killed against NC State.
NC State stopped playing defense for a good amount of that game because it looked like a preseason NBA game. Guys were just running up and down the court.
I believe Carolina, when you take Caleb Wilson out analytically, falls down into that mid to high 40s range, which is right on the edge of where Virginia Tech is in the mid to high 50s. So that game with Caleb Wilson out becomes much more winnable, period. UVA on the road, super hard. We know that. We beat them there last year, but both teams stunk.
Very different team this year.
Yeah, very different team, obviously. It's hard to win there any year, especially when they're as good as they are right now. So the Carolina one is as good of an opportunity you're going to get. And if you beat Wake, Carolina, and then I guess win one of those games, Sam, you were talking about, that's a Q1 or a Q2 in the ACC tournament, you're at double-digit Q1, Q2 wins. in a year where you
also
feel
have
like
to
you
beat
could have had,
BC.
yeah, in a year
You
where you
also have
feel
to
like you
beat
could have
UNC and
had
then beat
15 of
BC.
them. It's been
Oh, we do
unbelievable.
have. I mean, let's call it what it is. Mike Young's 1-6 against Boston College.
I mean, we needed Florida State and we lost. Like like if you're coming off a win in the Dean Dome against all odds and you've won 2 in a row. Now keep in mind we've lost 4 of 5, so now we're gonna go win 3 out of 4. We all know that it's unlikely, but we're just we're talking about possibilities here.
We do have
beating
a bye.
UNC and then beating BC. Now that's the challenge.
We do have a bye. So we have a very late season bye here after Wake Forest. We have a full week before we play Carolina, which will be interesting. I mean, who knows how that impacts anything at this point in the season. But yeah, it's unbelievable to say that despite the heartbreak and the absurdity of some of these results, that Virginia Tech still has an outside chance at this thing.
And if you were to get to 9-9, because we're 6-8 in conference, if we were to get to 9-9, which is where we need to go, if we're 3-1 in the last 4, then the committee may take into account that we have 4 one-possession losses. Like they were talking, it's not a secret that Virginia Tech's been snake bitten this year. They were talking about it on the broadcast the whole time. Like it would potentially help us. Like the fact that it's so well known how close, but we have to do the work first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get to
the script.
Let's get to a quick beer break, and then we have a little bit more, maybe some more macro basketball talk. But let's get to a beer break real quick, fellas. I need to know what you're drinking. Pete, I'll start with you because I saw that beer go up there.
Yeah, man, I'm drinking the Wanderback Beer Works, the Hugo. This is a South Jersey brewery. I really like what they do with their cans. They're kind of like funky 70s stuff. This is a West Coast Pilsner, as it's called, 5% alcohol. They call it a hoppy lager. And that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like just a little bit more of that hop bite after maybe like a Miller type vibe. Like you're having your Miller Lite and you get a little hop bite at the end, like perfect for pizza or a burger. Like this Hugo, I'm really enjoying it. Wanderback's been making some headway. They're from Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, which is towards the beach. Grabbed a couple of local ones, and I'm enjoying this. The Hugo by Wanderback. Ed, what are you having?
I have a pour of Green River Full Proof. So nice little, very tasty, but towards the more budget and bourbon. Green River's whole lineup is really good. All their stuff is really good, especially for the price. So if you're looking for something that has a little bit more power behind it, I think this is like 118 proof versus, the 90, which is their normal. But for the price, it's delicious.
Look at what Virginia Tech basketball has done to you. We're in the 100. We're in the triple digits proof, man.
Dude, it's unreal.
117. That's what you're having, the 117 proof?
I got news for you. I've got some stuff that's like in the high 130s.
That's awesome.
You can like run a car on that.
Mm-hmm. I saw a picture last night. Someone was like, it was about Kentucky basketball. We know Kentucky's having a tough year. And someone's like, no matter what happens tonight, this is what I'm doing. And it was Kentucky Tavern bourbon. Like the most, like, it almost looked like old granddad.
Like rail stuff?
Yeah.
Bottle stuff? Yeah.
Kentucky Tavern. But yeah, Ed's drinking the hard stuff tonight. How about you, Sam?
I'm sticking with the Wild East. I got a 4-pack when I went there. So those are the ones I'll have in the next few shows. This one is a cool one. The King of the North, Hoppy Red Ale. Ooh, great name for all you Game of Thrones fans. It is exactly what it says it is. It has that like Irish red ale, a little bit hoppier, but it's not super hoppy. Like it's not West Coast IPA, but you definitely get the hops. Being a red, it has like, it's not the bourbon barrel bite, but it has that like oaky barrel taste to it without kind of the bourbon afterbite that I don't love in a beer. 6.5%, which Pete, I think you and I both agree is like kind of the sweet spot for a craft beer. It's really drinkable. It's delicious. Again, like I'm not sure what their distribution is like outside of the tri-state area in the city, but really good stuff from Wild East, man. Really good. I'm in between a 3.75 and a 4. I'm right there.
Nice. I had a Sam Adams Boston Lager over the weekend when I was down in DC, and it was my first one since they've like revamped the recipe. because that was like maybe about 6 months to a year ago. They were like, oh, we redid Boston Lager, which was one of the original craft beers along with Yinling and a couple others. And it was no good, man. Like I like some of the offerings from Sam Adams. Like their summer ale is really good. I know a lot of people like the Cold Snap.
I was gonna say I love the Cold Snap.
Yeah, like that. They're good beers. The original Boston Lager, like don't redo the recipe. Just get rid of it. If you're gonna change it, because it almost tasted like a wheat beer. Like it had like it's not supposed to be anything close to that. It's a lager, but it just I don't know, man. As someone who drinks a lot of craft beer, like it was very subpar. But I do love their October. I love a lot of things that Sam brings to the table.
Cold Snap is a classic après ski beer. The Cold Snap, you got it.
I like their Porch Rocker too in the summertime.
Oh yeah, Porch Rocker's solid. My brother-in-law.
They have a good summer pack,
like
a variety summer pack. Sam Adams.
I liked the American Light. Sam didn't like it, but I enjoyed
that. Tasted like dog water. I would add dog water. That tasted like the water in the Chesapeake Bay. Like that's right outside the shipbuilding yard. That was nasty, dude. Nasty. Well, we're going to move on to some more basketball talk. Again, a little bit macro here. We talked about where the Hokies are tournament-wise. Odds are stacked against them, right? I think they're at the bottom of first 4 out, into the next 4 out.
I think I saw like sixth out, something like that.
Also in that range is an Ohio State team that would just beat Wisconsin and the brand that comes along with Ohio State. You have a VCU team that's now won 10 in a row and beat the brakes off of Virginia Tech on a neutral court. You have New Mexico, who's put some good wins, and the committee loves the Mountain West, even though it's a down Mountain West team. So, like, it's not looking great. However, like we just said, Virginia Tech, like the strength of schedule resume that Virginia Tech has played in conference is in their favor. This
gives
season.
Them a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. It gives them a chance on Selection Sunday. We'll see how things play out. But I think right now, more out than in, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's a tough spot to be right now because Mike Young's been here a while. We had investment in this roster, and we felt like we got a stud NBA caliber player. We got a really good transfer from West Virginia who started for them in a really good program. You brought back Toby. You brought back Jaden Schutt. You brought back Hammond, added some other guys from the portal. And here you are sitting at sub 500 in the ACC. Ed, what pulse check with the program right now, I guess is the best way for me to put it to you.
I've spent way too much time in the last 24 hours talking to anyone who will listen, anyone who I think is plugged in or pays attention to the program, close to the level I do, which I would say is I'm probably a 1%er in terms of that, unhealthily 1%er in terms of how much attention I pay to this program and where it stacks up and relates to the rest of the country and the league specifically. I think two things I want to say about this year's team, and these are not excuses, they just are reality and they're important pieces when you think about judging a coach. $4 million or 4 to 5, whatever the number truly is, somewhere in that range, is an improved roster spend. Don't get me wrong. And they put together a roster capable of doing what we wanted them to do, which is make the tournament. And that is true. And this roster has fallen short based on what they did put together. That being said, it's still a lower level job in this league in terms of the resources and what they have at their disposal in the Hahn-Hurst building. It's still a lower caliber job in the Atlantic Coast Conference, period. There's really no way around that. I don't think anyone would really argue that. And then the Tyler Johnson injury was huge. I think it's kind of been swept under the rug a little bit because of how long he's been out and the saga with, he's almost back and then he's not back. But that's a really important player for this team. When you look at advanced metrics and things like that early in the year, he was the highest rated guy in basically every game he played in terms of advanced analytics. He can guard 1 through 4. He was shooting the 3 ball at 40%. He's a really good basketball player. And I do want to bring that back to the front of people's minds when they think about the results and how close and on the knife's edge we've been in all these games. We're missing a starter and arguably arguably your most
best all around player.
Yeah, I said that in the group chat the other day,
and
I got crushed. But when you think about just every category of a basketball player, shooting, passing, rebounding, defense, he's at worst top 3 in every single category on this team, which to me adds up to probably your best all-around basketball player. So put a pin in that. But I do think it's important when you're talking about potentially making a move or the future of the program and who you want running it. I think context matters. And I know there's been a lot of true excuses throughout the Mike Young tenure. And then there's some that have been harped on more by his kind of, people who would call him a Mike Young defender, which people call me that all the time. As far as the program as a whole.
Before you make your next point, Ed, can I just interject one thing?
Yeah.
On the Tyler Johnson thing, it really does suck that we didn't have him for any of our ACC games, not a single one. Mm-hmm. And it's a fact that for every loss we have not had all of our starters. Not a single loss have we had all of our projected starters play in the game because Toby missed the other losses and Tyler's missed all the ACC losses. So that sucks. That being said, injuries happen.
Yeah.
And because of the results on the court, we are at this crossroads with our head coach. And I would say AD, but he should have been fired a long time ago, and he's still here. So that's beside the point.
Yeah, I don't want to circle back to all this, but I do agree. The Tyler Johnson thing, I want people to think about that because it is really important. The counter to that is they should have backfilled behind him better, and I agree they missed on Pasha, period. There's no other way around that.
Oh, my God.
All right, put a pin in that and move on from it before Sam's head blows off. So the best way to think about this is there's 2 categories that I can see. There's the administrative and business side of the decisions of running one of your 2 revenue generating sports. It's a business at the end of the day, right? We all know that with the new investment coming in from the school, top down, athletics matter, all the things we've heard. There's 2 sports that make money at the end of the day. It's football, which we obviously all know we are very heavily invested in football right now, as we should be. Virginia Tech fans are football fans at their core. The other is basketball. And I view it as like running any other company, right? You have 2 money-making opportunities. You have 2 products. It would be pretty silly to stop funding R&D on one of your software products if you only had 2 of them, right? So I get that we're all in on football. I get that basketball is secondary at this university, but I still don't think that has to mean complacency or mailing it in. So when you look at the big picture, and if you want to move on from Coach Young, or if Coach Young wants to retire, let's not forget Coach Young's in his 60s. He's been doing this a long time. He's made plenty of money. He could go retire if he wanted to. This era is not for everybody, and we've seen that around the country. But regardless of that decision, I want to look at the job and what we want the job to be. And I'll ask you guys this. I have it written down in my notes here. You guys are lifelong Virginia Tech fans. What is the expectation for this program in 2026 and beyond? Because I think you have to answer that question before you can dig any deeper.
I think that you should be making the tournament once every 4 years. And we were going to miss the tournament in 2022 before we went on a crazy run. And we will miss the tournament 4 straight years if we miss it this year. And I think that at Virginia Tech, we should expect to be in the tournament every other year-ish. And if not every other year, once every 4 years or once every 3 years. And we're not there. And I'll save the rest of my points, but that's my expectation is that once every 4 years, we need to be in the tournament. And hopefully it's once every 3.
Every 2 feels too often for me. So I split the difference at every 3, but Sam, go ahead.
I would say 2 to 3, but if you're going to do every 3 years, I need you to Iowa football this thing. One of those years, you need to be really good. If you're going to be like
a 5 seed.
Yeah. Because it's,
you mean really make it and not by the skin of your teeth?
Yeah, not a bye, not one of the
I don't want to be playing in Dayton. I don't want to be I mean, making the NCAA tournament in college basketball is not that terribly high of a bar. You hang a banner for it. Some programs just slap another year up there. It's not an impossible task. Because if you look, there's 300 some D1 teams. Really, only 150 of them even have a shot. And then out of those, you have a bunch of low-level mid-majors that have no shot at competing.
Are there like 90 power teams and then Gonzaga?
I mean, you're really looking
something
at
like that. Yeah.
You're looking at 40 to 50% of your competitive teams make it.
You basically
so
have to
I
be
feel
a top 45 team. I mean,
yeah, I feel like that's the expectation. Yeah, to answer your question, 2 to 3 years.
well, I think that's where you kind of have to start. And then from that, okay, you know, Whit Babcock or the athletic powers that be, whoever they are, you know, puppeteering the situation behind the strings. If that's the expectation they agree with, and that's good. Then you have a goal to work backwards from. And then you have to look at, okay, what does it take to get there? I got news for you guys. $4 to $5 million in roster spend is not going to build you a top 45 team very often. It's just not. And the reason Virginia Tech is a fringe top 45 team right now is because of diamonds in the rough who are here on extremely, you know, from all the rumors and speculation, very team friendly deals in the Ben Hammonds and the Tyler Johnsons and the Jaden Shoots. And then you have the guys like Neo, Toby, and Amani who are, you know, by all accounts, rumors again, you know, higher paid, well paid individuals, but are here because they want to be. And it's more of like a blend of a traditional recruitment where relationship matters. And as a result, you get a hometown discount. That all of those like various things, the hometown discounts, the relationships, the elite scouting with the Ben Hammonds and the Tyler Johnsons gives you a chance. And then you still have to go win the games. And we've seen the margins be really thin. So from an expectation standpoint, I think the university has to identify what they're comfortable with as an expectation and then build out the infrastructure behind it to meet that expectation. We did that with football. We just did it. You know, we decided enough was enough. This wasn't good enough. We identified before we even went out and hired James Franklin. Here's what it takes to get to that position, which we heard Coach Franklin talk about was extremely impressive in those meetings. So we did it with football. We have to decide, are we going to do that with basketball? Now, the other pillar that I mentioned, so that's the administrative piece of this, is the basketball piece. So Coach Young's got one more year on his deal. If they were to decide that they no longer want his services at the end of this season, they would owe him the rest of that contract, which is like $3 million. In the year 2026, with everything else Virginia Tech has going on, from a finance perspective, I should say, is that the best use of $3 million? And the other part of that is at an SEC school, when you want to fire a coach, you're not pulling $3 million out of your operating budget to go fire that coach and pay a buyout. You're calling a donor who's willing to fund that buyout. There's not, by all accounts, there's not going to be that here for Coach Young in a potential buyout situation. So you would have to find that money from that new and improved operating budget. And that means somebody else is not getting money that they're slated to get. So you have to decide, is this really worth it? Or are you okay with running it back with a coach who is going to, God willing, when the creek don't rise, win 19 games this year and regular season games where they could have reasonably had a chance to win 21-ish games? That's not a bad basketball coach. You can say there's apathy, and there's certainly plenty of that. Go on any message board or on X. There's plenty of apathy, and that's a problem that you can address a variety of ways, one of which would be making a change. But is a 19-win coach who was in the hunt for the tournament all year long, who could return basically all the fan favorites, Ben Hammond, Amani Hansberry, Tyler Johnson, Jaden Shute, Christian Gerdak, as a starting point before entering the portal, is it worth pulling the plug on a $3 million buyout? I'm not of that camp. I think it would be financially and business wise irresponsible, but I also just think he's a good basketball coach, and I know I'm kind of in the minority there right now.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who reasonably would say he's not a good basketball coach. Like, he has decades of resume saying he is a good basketball coach. I definitely agree with the business aspect of this, where Virginia Tech is in a position where the business model right now for Virginia Tech athletics is all in on football, and that will trickle to everybody else. And that's kind of what the SEC has done and shown proof of concept, like Alabama, Auburn a little bit. look at the
Not
Mississippi
Georgia.
schools,
I mean,
Texas
Georgia's
schools,
about to make the NCAA tournament.
Georgia, yeah. It's all from football. On the basketball front, like my issue is much less X and O, and it's like, do we have the right people in the building running the day-to-day program? Because there have been some pretty like jarring misses in terms of scouting and allocation of funds going from last year where they just simply didn't understand the market. And that seemed to be the biggest issue. And then the guy that they did bring in was like wanted by the FBI. Like that's like that can't happen, right? That just can't happen. There is some negligence that gets you into that situation. A lot of negligence potentially on multiple fronts. And I know and first off, back to the Tyler Johnson thing. Obviously, the person this sucks for the most is Tyler Johnson. So, like, nothing about him. And then me personally, but first Tyler Johnson, because he does not seem like the type of basketball player to sit out if he has a boo-boo. Like, that does not seem like that kind of guy. So something is clearly wrong there. It is not the first time we've had this kind of issue with an injury at Virginia Tech. It is not the first time where Virginia Tech has had a very good player on the roster that just, for some reason, one reason or another, is not on the court. And it sucks. Is it Mike Young's personal fault? Probably not. But I think in this day and age, your coach and the people high up in your program need to be incredibly detail oriented and have their finger on the pulse of every little thing. And if when one of your star players, when you can't figure out when they're healthy enough to come back, and you don't understand that injury, and you don't understand a recovery plan for them, because what it sounds like is they didn't really handle the recovery very well and he got re-injured. That's what it sounds like at this point.
It certainly seems that way, but we don't know. Now, Toby came back early. And so I think what you're going after potentially like the medical staff, the strength and conditioning, like whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't seem to be the tightest run ship on earth.
Well, yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from Coach Young is too honest.
With our budget, like you said, Ed, like you
can't miss.
We can't miss.
Yeah.
We can't miss. We got to recover. We got to be the best strength and condition program. We got to be everybody locked in.
I do want to say something on the strength and conditioning, because somebody made a point to me about this today. I do think this team is incredibly strength and conditioned, because the only two injuries we've had have both been bones. We have not had
can't strength and condition your way out of an ankle tear.
Yeah, if Tyler Johnson, I think it's probably similar to Justin Robinson's injury his senior year. I think it's like a super tiny bone in his foot. But you can't strength and condition your way around that way. You're right.
And
so I do want to
very tricky. Yeah,
I don't want to hammer our guy Dave Jackson, because I think by and large he's done a fantastic job this year.
Quote card from Pete: "Feet are tricky."
Feet are tricky.
It's like, and again, that's what's kind of tough about it, is like there really isn't one specific person to blame for this. Whereas a lot of times, like, we want to do that in sports. To me, it just seems like over the past ever since that ACC tournament run, it does seem like it's always something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it can't always be something.
There was the Rodney Rice saga, which we will maybe air out at a different day after more than one glass of bourbon. And it was the last year where I will push back a little bit on they didn't understand the market, being the staff. They understood the market. It was the administration and the powers that be
said we didn't understand, which means him.
I do know the staff knew the market. It was the purse holders who did not properly understand the market. So I will give a little pushback there. I think from an operational standpoint, you've seen strides there. They're much more analytically driven than they were maybe 5 years ago when Coach Young first got to Virginia Tech. But again, I don't want to stray too far off the point. But overall, I look at it like this. If I'm with Babcock and I have, first of all, this is assuming Coach Young wants to continue coaching. Because again, he's of retirement age. Like the guy's done his time. He's made plenty of money. He could decide, I'm sick and tired of watching dudes donkey kick the basketball around when I told him specifically not to do that. So he could decide that enough is enough and I'm done on my own accord. Assuming he does want to coach and he's under contract for 1 more year. If I'm with Babcock and I have, or whoever's in charge, 2 sticky notes on my table that say, negotiate a buyout and or fire or keep. The more I've thought about it and everything else going on in the Virginia Tech ether, I just don't see an upside in the next 12 months to ripping the plug. Here's where I'm at on that. And then Pete, I would love to hear your thoughts. So first of all, you're saving yourself money, whether it's the full $3 million because you had to let the guy go or you settled for 1.5. Either way, you're saving some amount of cash because Mike Young's agent's not going to let him settle for 0. So you saved money if you keep him. The other piece of that is if there is some sort of restructuring and shuffling going on in the athletic department this summer from a kind of corporate structure standpoint, which, that's been kind of the talking point and the rumor with the BOV presentations and things like that, is they're going to relook at how the athletic department operates. The time for that would be this summer when the fiscal year ends. Excuse me. So if that's coming, do you really want to make a massive decision on, again, one of your 2 money-making operations 2 months before that? Another piece of that from just an administrative standpoint is if you don't know what you're doing at head coach of men's basketball in 2026 and 2027 right now, you have to figure it out very quickly because the portal opens the day after the Final Four and it's only open for 15 days. It used to be open for 45 days. So that's a dramatic change in how you're going to be able to build your roster. And then from a basketball side, again, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. They're going to win 19 games in the regular season. They had a chance to win anywhere between, call it 20 and 23 so far with the losses they've had by, 3 or less points. And they have the opportunity to bring back Amani Hansberry, Tyler Johnson, Ben Hammond, Jaden Schutt, and Christian Gerdak. Pre-portal, that's a really, really good starting point. I think most fans would agree with that. So there's the basketball side and the administrative side of why I think it might make sense to, for lack of a better term, do nothing right now and just let this ship run its course. There's a whole other side of that coin that I understand. Trust me, I've heard every argument over the last 24 to 48 hours about, apathy and castle ticket sales and 2027 and beyond. I get all of that. But in a time when you're investing so heavily in football, rightfully so, it might just be smartest to let this ship run its natural course versus jump the gun ahead of corporate restructuring or whatever you have coming down the pipeline at Virginia Tech on the athletic side.
They saved their money 2 years ago by putting it all in football in 2024. And that's when the rubber met the road in that calendar year, 2024 to 2025, the school year, I should say, is when our athletic department as a whole completely failed. Football sucked. We had diverted all the money there. We didn't have money and he can say whatever he wants about they didn't take money from basketball and give it to football. They did. And both sports sucked. And nobody lost their job. And that's unacceptable. But since the AD is still here and has another decision to make now, we brought back the 4 best players on the team from last year. Toby, Hammond, Schutt, and who's the 4th one? Tyler Johnson. We went out and got a 4-star transfer. We went out and got a 5-star freshman. The team's not going to make the tournament. At least as of right now, doesn't look like they're going to make the tournament. You're going to bring back the same 4 players that you just brought back. You're not going to add a 5-star freshman who was a bust, and you're going to be better? This team hasn't improved this year. That's the difference. Most years under Mike Young, the team improves. And this team, from the first 5 games to the last 5 games, has not improved. They're no better. They might be worse. And I know that we don't have Tyler Johnson, but no one is getting better besides Ben Hammond. And Neo, a bust. Toby has underperformed. Pasha is a complete dud. And Dorn, we weren't counting on a ton, but he's underperformed. Bedford, a little bit better. Hansberry, a little bit better than we expected, but we expected a lot. 4-star transfer, as I said. and Ben Hammond is above. But most of the guys have met expectations or fallen far below. And that's why we need a reset. I love Mike Young. I'm not talking bad about him. The program is in need of a reset. And I don't know if you can do that with the same coach, how you change the mentality without changing the coach, because $3 million isn't a lot of money. It's just plain not. Like, they can afford it. And we have $32 million buyouts in football happening. We bought out Brent Pry. Now we have him back. But the football money, the money that's in the new budget is astronomical. We raised $9 million on Giving Day today. I'm not worried about $3 million to buy out Mike Young. That's nothing. We need life in the program. No one's signing up for season tickets next year because we've already done the 5-star freshman thing and no one cared this year. And so we need a reset. And I don't want to waste a year. If we're going to start a new school year with Franklin as the head coach of football, do it with basketball too. Let's just start the whole thing over because this isn't working. This team is not, they're so inconsistent. They're not getting better. And this team should have made the tournament. We all know this team should have made the tournament. And it falls on coach. It's not only on him, but it's the evaluation period. Like, why did we bust on Pasha? I don't know. Why did we go after Heiser Miller? I don't know. But these are the things that are happening within the program, and they're not working. It's not working. And that's where I'm at. I understand everything Ed said. I cannot see us running it back and winning more than 19 games next year, because that's at best probably what's going to happen this year. Sam, I think you're muted.
I am. I apologize with that. Mike Young has dropped to 58 and 68 in ACC play as coach of the Hokies. I don't know of a coach that survives that. I just don't. With two ACC, with two NCAA tournament appearances in 7 years, like it just doesn't happen. But the counterpoint is, like, do you do that? Do you do a financial reset before you do a coach reset? Because look at the market. Like, what's your wins above replacement coach right now? X's and O's wise. Like, we've texted about some, like, oh, this guy, they're not James Franklin. Like, I don't think you're getting that kind of guy in here. And I thought about this kind of this evening, and I have a VCU fandom for college basketball as well. And VCU they always are going with a new coach. They were able to they lost a ton of guys from that A-10 championship team, lost their coaching staff to UVA. And they were like, shoot, we need to get like 8 players to fill out a roster, and we need to get a whole new coaching staff. And they went out and got Phil Martelli Jr., who, I don't know if his dad, Phil Martelli Sr., legendary college basketball coach for St. Joe's. They go out and get Martelli Jr. from Bryant, who just took that team to a conference title at NCAA tournament, plays a cool style of ball. Their NIL budget and their roster double Virginia Tech's this year. Like, maybe more. I mean, we're looking at probably a $10 million roster at VCU this year, riddled with 5 stars, Oregon transfers, UConn, guys who played minutes at Oregon, UConn, stole a freshman from LSU. They have recruited very well out of high school. They got all of the best players from Bryant to come over. And, like,
they don't have
do you go out and they don't have a football team, which is very, very helpful. But, like, the coach coming into Virginia Tech isn't going to have those opportunities. You're not going to have that NIL budget.
You're the 3rd best job in the state at best.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're going up against programs that have more money, better facilities, better fan support, to be honest with you, like more consistent and better, rowdier fan support, and like high expectations are a good thing. Like, when you're the basketball coach at UVA or at VCU or at the Triangle schools down in North Carolina, you expect to win at a very high level every single year, no matter what. And right now, that's just not the expectation at Virginia Tech. And therefore, that is not the investment at Virginia Tech. And I think coaches who are smart and understand the college basketball landscape are going to see that before they even take the interview.
Yeah.
And I understand what Pete says, like 58 and 68, just flat out not good enough. I don't care. I don't care if you have to pay in, Sour Patch Kids and Chuck E. Cheese tickets for your players. 58, 68 isn't good enough. At the same time, I don't know if like blow it all up right now is actually going to get you anything better than competing on the bubble every year.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. And Pete,
because you could James Johnson this.
Yeah, exactly. Pete, you did a good
you
job.
Could. We've done it before.
You did a great job of playing the devil's advocate to the point I was making. And it's not necessarily where I stand or believe what we should do. I'm just putting all the information I've gathered out into the world to let people make their own decisions. And truthfully, if I had to make a guess, I think Coach Young's probably our coach next year, unless he doesn't want to be. If he wants to be, I think he'll be our coach next year for all the reasons I laid out. But Sam, you're spot on, man. Like VCU is a better job than Virginia Tech. It just is. Does it need to be? And will it be in, I don't know, what's today? The 18th of February? Will it be in 2 months? Maybe not. Maybe we'll make a bunch of dramatic changes that I don't know are coming down the pike. And I would be thrilled if they did it. Because at the end of the day, this is my favorite team in sports. It's the Washington Nationals. It's Virginia Tech basketball. So I want to win. I don't really care who's in charge of it. I do think Coach Young gets more out of what he is given more years than not than the replacement options. I think if you were to take this job with its current resourcing out into the open market and make 10 hires, I think you downgrade 7 out of the 10 times. I just do. I don't think you'll find someone who can uncover the Keve Alumas and the Justin Mutts and the Sean Padulas and the Ben Hammonds at a rate that he has. There are flip sides of that where we've struggled with the higher profile kids coming in. I get all that too. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I think you could do better. Like I disagree.
I think you could. I don't think
you could do better. I don't think you're going to this year.
Well, if Whit Babcock is Mr. Basketball and every basketball hire he makes is good, then why don't we let him make another one? Because he's been able to, like, we lost Kenny Brooks and that sucked, and he'd had a historic run at Virginia Tech. Megan Duffy's doing great. She's doing fantastic. If this guy is as good as he is at finding basketball coaches and everyone, then find us another one, because this is it's not good enough for the athletic department that we desire. It's simply not. Like, I don't want to miss the tournament every year with 19 wins. I don't. And that's where we are stuck. And it's not 2005. You can't build for 4 years in Mike Young's system. We just got to the best Mike Young game example yesterday, and we're in late February. You can't build it the same way. And he tried to go after the 5-star freshman this year. And if that guy busts out, we don't have 3 more like these other schools that can just pick it up. We have 1, and he's not good enough. He's a very, very average college basketball player. That's why we're going to miss the tournament.
I look around at the jobs likely to open, and then I look around at the names, right? Like the Tony Skins, whoever's out there. But then I look at the jobs that are going to open, even in our own league. Like Wake's likely to open, Pitt's likely to open, Syracuse is probably opening. Carolina's not going to open despite what their fans say. But then outside of our league, Cincinnati, Providence, Kansas State's already open. Does Bill Self retire? Is Kansas opening? There's a lot of jobs that are going to open. And truthfully, man, like if we're not going to invest more, we will be at the bottom of that list. Like of all those teams I just rattled off, we would legitimately be at the bottom of that list in terms of resourcing. If we don't make it
every year jobs open up. So we're going to do this every year. We're not going to be able to find someone better than Mike Young because these 5 jobs are opening up. At some point, you need to take a shot on somebody.
Well, and there's that too. There's take a shot.
Why don't we just be the up and comer school? Let's be VCU for Christ's sake. Like, take the up and comer. If he leaves in 2 years to go to Kansas, let him leave. That means he was good. Like, taking an okay older coach who's willing to stick around, which Mike Young was, and we kind of all liked that idea. Oh, we're not going to have a Buzz Williams. He's not going to leave after a few years.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He also hasn't won like Buzz Williams. And so it's, to me, I just feel like we need a coach with modern identities, modern proclivities, whatever it is, the way he runs his program is in line with the NIL landscape, because I feel like we're putting a square peg in a round hole.
It does feel like we aren't, like, it feels like we're playing catch up to the sport a little bit, kind of like football was.
Yeah.
And I think the difference in the difference between basketball and football is I do think basketball has the schematics of the sport down pat. Like, I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is the depth, the talent, and like
the things that money buys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it really, really sucks to be having this conversation in the first place, because this is the organization that printed "We got cold drinks waiting on t-shirts."
Yeah. Like, won an ACC title before NIL. Mike Young made 2 tournaments and won an ACC title.
2 blocks down the road.
Yeah,
beat Coach
we love
K
him.
in his last.
We love him for it. I love him for that run. Something that may never be repeated in Virginia Tech basketball history, winning the ACC tournament.
Probably not. No, I think
it might not be repeated in ACC basketball history.
I'm not even advocating for like an extension or for him to be around indefinitely. I'm more just advocating for don't light $3 million on fire
without a plan.
I get it, and I'll be fine. I'll be fine if they do either one. Yeah. I just know that it's kind of delaying the inevitable.
It is.
That's the issue that I take.
No, I think you're spot on. My dream scenario would be we win the game last night and we beat Carolina, and we either make the tournament or we're one of the first teams out, but it was good enough for no one to make a fuss.
Yeah.
To then allow for a press release that goes out that says Coach Young is coaching his final year of his contract. Chester Frazier is the head coach the following year. That would be my dream scenario. Is it likely at this point? Probably not. And then it becomes a question. I mean, you got to go out and start, making phone calls to agents. Is a Tony Skinn interested? Is a Seidel at UNCW interested? Or are they more comfortable if you're Tony Skinn sitting at George Mason and being like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to wait for Buzz to flame out and go to Maryland, or I'm going to wait for Georgetown to open. Because at the end of the day, these high-level mid-major jobs, like Sam said about VCU, are as good, if not better, places to be coaching basketball and then Virginia Tech is right now. And it's a tough situation to be. Pete, to your point of taking a flyer on somebody, I'm cool with that too, because I think you can do really well there. See Jay Lucas at Miami, go grab an AHC from a well-known program. But that could also be a Chester Frazier who's coached under Brad Underwood. He's coached under DeVries, and now he's coached under Mike Young and won at all 3 places. So, you can find guys like that just as well as you can find the young up-and-coming Josh Schertz or Tony Skins of the world. I just don't think those 2 names and people of that ilk are interested in coaching in Blacksburg.
And I understand that. I'm just like, there's 100 names, and 100, like the Jay Lucas one's a perfect example. Now Miami spent as well, and I totally get the resources argument, but we've got teams like Santa Clara and New Mexico that have better basketball teams than us. And in some cases they have football teams. In some cases they don't. San Diego State, always good, has a football team as well.
VCU is a different example, but some of those ones you just said, whether they have football or not is irrelevant. They're still not spending, $5 million.
And that's what I'm saying is that there are ways.
They're also not playing Miami and Carolina and Duke and UVA.
No, you're right, but they're only losing like 3 games. My point was, you can have lower resources and be in the tournament. Like if your coach is if our coach is this really good coach that we are repeatedly told how good he is, then he should be making the tournament. And that's just a fact. Like, we are repeatedly told how good of a coach Mike Young is by every announcer, by anyone who analyzes the sport. And I really like Mike Young. I do. As a person, I love him for winning the ACC, but like, other coaches could win with this roster, and he is not winning at the level that we need to be winning at. And that could be on the entire program and the athletic department. I'm not trying to put it only on him, but like, this is his program. He leads it. And this team should have made the tournament. And right now they're in heavy danger of not making it.
And as
Sorry,
we wrap up,
I really had to go to the bathroom. Sorry.
That's me every single one of the shows as I'm like chugging a craft beer.
Yeah.
As we wrap up our basketball talk, we wanted to hit a few extra bullet points here before we wrap up at about an hour and a half. We'll see. There's still season left. We're recording on
Let me ask
Wednesday
you a final
night.
question on this.
Is it a
Do you
Wednesday?
think that the majority of the fan base wants to move on?
Yes. I'll answer that one real quick. I think so.
I actually don't know. I don't know because
like the vocal fan base wants
there's a vocal. I actually had somebody text me this earlier today. It said the vocal minority is very loud, but it's the minority because then when you talk to other people, they're like, this is fine. I mean, Pete, if you plugged this team in and played this season on a video game 3 times, you probably make the tournament once, which would then be 1 out of 3, right? You know what I mean? Like this season's been so ridiculous.
That's the kind of statistical analysis we need
on
the show. Thank you.
You know what's kind of damning for
running simulations
is that before the season, he knew he had a good team. Yeah. He indicated it at almost every chance he got preseason. Like he knew this was a very good team and he felt good about it. And so that's another thing is like, this wasn't like, okay, hold your horses, everybody. No, he knew it was good. And he talked up Bob Dallas and he talked these guys up and it's come up short.
He was right for about a month and a half.
Yeah, he was.
And to be fair, he did say they weren't a very good shooting team. And shooting the basketball is pretty important in basketball. It sucks to be having this conversation. It sucks to be here. I feel for those players, to be honest with you, because I don't think like it's really easy to sit on your couch and tweet about effort. I don't see that being the issue.
They haven't quit.
I do feel bad for those players. They're playing their hearts out. The coaches are coaching their hearts out. When the ball doesn't bounce your way and the results don't go your way, it flat out sucks. But this is a results-oriented business. We will see what happens. There are a few games left in the schedule. As for the gridiron, the Hokies have not done a damn thing since we last talked about the Hokies. I guess they're lifting weights, but which 18 to 23-year-old young man isn't in the gym lifting weights this time of year? So nothing special happening. There were some movements in the recruiting rankings, though.
Yeah, me and Sam did that whole episode last week giving you our full opinion on the recruiting rankings. And right after we did it, maybe the next day or 2 days later, they updated the rankings again, despite it being after National Signing Day and none of those guys playing football for months, the rankings got updated. What they did was, I'm pretty sure they took the punter out of our class on the 247 composite rankings, which raised the average recruit rating to 88.37.
The high school punter, not the Marshall transfer.
The high school punter.
Okay, got it.
Because we took a punter and a kicker, I believe, in the class.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, they dropped the lowest ranked kid out of the class. And so it brought up the entire average. Although it brought up the average, the total score actually went down a spot. So we are the 30th ranked class in the composite. I assume that's the final change. I have to assume
he's losing control of the program.
And then Xavion Cleveland, the cornerback, was upgraded to a 4-star. He got to like 0.8922. So now we're back to 8 4-stars. Over run? 88 average. So
he's a green run kid, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Green run to VT. Which
that pipeline's our best thing we got going.
I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. When I lived in Virginia Beach, the office I had was right in that area of Virginia Beach. It's literally like 2 subdivisions feed into Green Run High School. The odds of them having this many players play football at Virginia Tech is crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting actually. Yeah. But so anyway, the average is our best recruiting average for a class ever, and it has, I believe, 22 commits. So that's really good. It beat out
that record won't last long.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. We're getting all the good word on what's been happening in recruiting, and we actually talked about this last week, Ed. But I'll ask you. Is Franklin's, like, his measure, is it top 25 classes at Tech? Like, does he have to get a top 25 recruiting class? Is that what you're expecting?
Oh, what I'm expecting, yeah. But I think his measure is probably higher than that. I think if you were to ask him that question with a truth serum, he would tell you he expects to land a top 15 class every year. I mean, I think that guy's wired a little different and has really high expectations for himself. But yeah, I would say if he has another class lower than this one throughout the rest of his time here, I'd be pretty surprised. Although he did get to kind of piggyback off of his work at Penn State to build this one. But still, either way, I expect nothing but good things. I mean, you've seen in the last 2 days alone, there's been tweets about Virginia Tech with, it's like Penn State, LSU, and Virginia Tech. It's coming from Pete Thamel. It's like Pete Thamel doesn't tweet about Virginia Tech very often. So this is nice.
Well, it doesn't tweet good things about Virginia Tech very often.
Yeah, true. So no, it's normally about our turkey bacon.
We basically said that, top 25 class will be the measurement going forward. And then someone put in our YouTube comments, top 15 is what he should be getting.
Yeah, I mean, if he lands a top 25 class, he's shown over his career that he has an ability to develop guys. So, if you land a top 25 talent roster with his ability to develop, you should have a top 20 to 15 roster any given year, when it's all said and done. So I think that's a fair expectation. But like I said, I think his expectation out of his own mouth would be higher than that.
Yeah. And if Tech, you have to take a little bit of heat off of it coming to Tech rather than Penn State. We don't have the history. We don't have the infrastructure that they have. Now we may
they have some history we don't want to have. So.
Oh, well, that's true too. They have specifically talking about on the field football, 12-0 seasons, that kind of thing. But yes, so I would say, like, if we're doing top 20 regularly, like that's a place that we rarely
never
got to.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe at the 2005, 2003 years, we might have got into a top 20 on Rivals before 247 even existed. But it's been a minute. So that would be great. If that's the standard and that's what he can regularly get, I will be, I don't know if impressed is the right word, but I will be extremely satisfied.
That's his standard and that's his track record. I mean, his track record is not like what Oregon's doing or what Lane Kiffin's doing at LSU, where it's like going and getting mercenaries of the highest level talent available at the time. It's more kind of an aggregate talent across the board, get it in your building, into your program. And it's a true program, which is what I'm excited about with James Franklin versus, some of the other hires that were made around the country, where James Franklin is a program builder and a relationship builder and not just an assassin where, you're in the door, you do your thing and the program leaves with you, a la Buzz Williams. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited for you guys to get to talk about something fun too, because Lord knows I've had a hard time with that with my show recently.
Yeah. It has been tough. And we are in the portion of the football season where no news is good news. I don't want to hear a peep out of them until spring practice starts. That would be phenomenal. Other roundups around Blacksburg, the wrestling program continues to tear up the ACC. They dominated a very good UNC program. They did lose the high-profile match against Oklahoma State, a top 5 ranked Oklahoma State team. They were competitive, got some wins. That's a very good Cowboys team. I believe they've clinched a share of the ACC title, and if they beat Duke, they outright win the ACC regular season title before going to the tournament.
I'll be there.
Nice.
Yes. Going to Blacksburg, going to the Duke match on Friday and going to the game against Wake on Saturday.
Dude, that's fantastic.
That's hype.
The kid at 184, Bullock, that guy has been awesome the last 2 matches. He's gotten upsets, I think, both matches. And then Sasso had the upset at 197 over number 7 Colby Merrill when they played Oklahoma State.
This is gonna trigger Sam, but it's been so nice to watch the wrestling on TV. It actually has, genuinely.
We'll get there. The wrestling program is phenomenal. I'm not gonna take away from the wrestling program. They're phenomenal. They're doing great. They're gonna win back-to-back ACC titles. In a year that's like literally they're like punting the year. Like it's insane what Tony Roby has done with that program. The women's team, we should mention the women's basketball team. Really solid road trip to California, to wine country, wins against Stanford and Cal on the road. Very impressive. They sit at 10-5 in the ACC. That's good enough right now for 6th place. So they're looking pretty good. They're looking pretty good if they can handle business against Georgia Tech. I know they got UNC at home in a few days here. They can handle business against Georgia Tech in the regular season finale. Feel good about that team making the tournament. Really good season for Megan Duffy and crew. They're playing. I feel like the last few weeks they've been playing really good basketball.
Yeah.
On the diamond, tough weekend for softball. They went 2-2. Just couldn't find the outfield grass. Article up on Saturday.com about that, but they'll be fine. They're a very good team. Baseball, 4-0 start. Rocky starts. Rocky first couple innings. They've been down the first few innings of all 4 of their games, so they have come back and played really well. The pitching staff looks really good. A nice midweek win over East Tennessee State. That's a team that dominated the SoCon last year and made the NCAA regionals. It's a very good ETSU mid-major program. And then the sweep of William & Mary to start the season. They will host Rutgers in a weekend series. Rutgers predicted like 10th out of 15th in the Big Ten. Definitely a step up in competition from William & Mary, but a series that I think Virginia Tech should feel comfortable winning at home.
Sam, you said the pitching staff has looked good. You've seen them?
No, I have not seen that actually. That's a good point, Ed. I'm from what I've heard on the radio from our good friends Carter Hill and Evan Hughes. And look, the baseball games are not on TV. I don't know why they're not on TV. I'm working on it. I'm doing some investigative research. Emails. I'll tell you, I'm so serious about this. Virginia Tech, for those who don't know, is the only ACC program not televising baseball games right now. Not televising non-conference games. Emails have been sent. Messages have been messaged. Back channels have been explored. And we are getting to the bottom of this. Quite frankly, I think it's unacceptable. I think it's unfair to the players and their families, first and foremost. The opponents that we have played, both William & Mary and East Tennessee State, are unhappy with it. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to figure it out. And
we funneled all the money to football. There's no more money left. We can't televise games.
They all got kicked out of Merriman.
From what I've been told, the cameras are sitting there collecting dust. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. I don't want to speculate on anything that I don't know exact facts of, but I am not super happy about how that program is being treated right now. Just from a like fairness and equity standpoint compared to what they're trying to do there. And this is, I know like they've had a disappointing last couple of seasons towards the end of the season, but like this is a really good team. It's a really fun program. I think they deserve more eyeballs, and the athletic department needs to help get those eyeballs.
Hey, look, ready? Sam and Ed wanting their programs to be treated better.
I just at least you film the games like everybody else does, right?
If only we had a really, really high quality sports media and analytics department where
we've got 8 damn student radio broadcasters in the booth. It's
Facebook Live. I don't know. Do something.
It could, yeah. I mean, it sounds. I don't know what it is. It sounds like a staffing issue of some type. But let's not speculate too much on that. You mentioned the ladies, and I just wanted to point out, like, they were 10th, Ed, in bracketology for the women. They were 10 seed. One of the last 4 teams with a bye. When you're 20-7 and 10-5 in the ACC, I would have expected maybe a 9 seed at least. I mean,
women's basketball, like the disparity in talent 10 years ago, it's narrowed. Like there's more good teams with talent now, and Virginia Tech's one of them, right? But it's still like a haves or have-nots business in women's side. So 20 wins on the women's side is not quite what 20 wins on the men's side is.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, this team's really good, and transparently, I'll put my hand up. They're better than I thought they would be. I thought they were going to struggle without a true center, and they've just decided they're just going to run you to death. And it's a lot of fun to watch with Mackenzie Nelson and Samaya Suffren to go along with Baker and Wenzel, who we all knew about. It's a really fun team to watch. It's a fun brand of basketball, and they're a handful, and they will be a handful for whoever they do draw in the NCAA tournament, assuming things close out here correctly. But it's a fun team to watch. It's a cool brand of basketball. I encourage everyone to watch it.
And they they have gotten a lot better throughout the season. I felt like in the beginning, it did seem a little touch and go, and they've been just tearing it up like the last
Yeah,
12 games.
the one, like, it's not even really a critique. It's more of just like a wait and see question mark I've had about the Coach Duffy tenure is like her recruiting and development of like her people, because Karis Baker, Carly Wenzel, Samaya Suffren, and Mackenzie Nelson were all signed by the Kenny Brooks staff, right? But her development of those four, hands up, like it's just been fantastic. I mean, those four have all been fantastic under Coach Duffy, and year over year progression with her at the helm has been astounding, and look, that's going to lead them to an NCAA tournament berth. All things, most likely, at least at this point.
Yeah, UNC game is 6 o'clock. It's the Stranger Things game tomorrow, Thursday.
That's would be.
I don't know what it means, but
I misspoke. They end the season at Virginia on March
Virginia.
1st.
Both teams close at Virginia this year.
Love that. Go ACC. Love
Hokies in the upside down.
Yep. That kind of feels like where we're at. That's a good way to, maybe that'll be the title of the episode. Virginia Tech basketball in the upside down.
In the upside down, right.
That'll do it, I think. Anything else, fellas?
Oh, Sam, the patches came in.
Oh, sick.
So this will be on a piece of headwear soon enough, maybe on a hoodie. Hopefully we'll have some of those hats for sale at the spring game at our various things that we're at.
Yes. Spring game details, TBD. Working them out. Stay tuned.
Billy and I are going to Blacksburg, boots on the ground Friday. We'll be working on the spring game details while we're there.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
That's good to hear.
Beautiful. And that'll do it. We'll have more content coming up. Memory Lane episode coming up next week, talking Hokie football quarterbacks with Paul Patera, one of our columnists. That's going to be awesome. Stay tuned for that. It's an evergreen episode. Save it for a road trip. It's going to be great. Some other college football stuff headed the way. We're going to keep you covered. And of course, Hokie Hoops will have you covered on the hardwood. And until next time, go Hokies.